Dr. Park stood before the large alien council, facing hundreds of different species from across the galaxy. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. Behind her, colorful mathematical formulas floated in the air. "These calculations show we can travel through higher dimensions," she explained. Her voice stayed steady despite the whispers and laughs from the alien representatives. Ambassador Kim of the Varaxian Empire rose from his seat. His body looked like blue crystal that caught the light. His 6 eyes narrowed as he looked down at Dr. Park. "How amusing," he said. "Humans only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. Now you think you understand dimensions? Your species is like children playing with sticks and calling it science." More laughter filled the great hall. Some aliens didn't even try to hide their amusement. Others looked at humans with pity. Dr. Park gripped her data tablet tightly. She had expected this reaction, but it still hurt. 5 years of work, thousands of experiments, and they wouldn't even look at her evidence. "The math works," she said firmly. "If your scientists would just examine." "We have better uses for our time," Ambassador Kim cut her off. His voice boomed through the chamber. "The Varaxian Empire has observed human development for centuries. You advance quickly but without wisdom. Tomorrow we vote on restricting your technological growth for your own safety." Dr. Park noticed other powerful species nodding in agreement. The Aldebarans with their floating gas bodies, the insect-like mantisoids, and the ancient Quarians all seemed to support the Varaxians. As the meeting ended, Dr. Park collected her notes. Her research would be classified as restricted technology if the vote passed. Earth would face trade penalties and lose access to alien scientific knowledge. Ambassador Lee approached her quietly. Unlike the aliens, he wore a simple Earth uniform. His face showed defeat. "I'm sorry, Jaiwoo," he said softly. "I tried to convince them, but they made up their minds before you even spoke. The trade restrictions will pass tomorrow. They want to keep humanity contained." Dr. Park looked around at the departing aliens. Some glanced back at her with superiority in their strange eyes. "They think we're children," she whispered. "To them, we are," Ambassador Lee replied. "The Varaxians have been spacefaring for 50,000 years. The Quarians for even longer." Dr. Park straightened her shoulders. "Then we'll have to show them they're wrong." "How?" "The restrictions won't stop Project Prometheus," she said firmly. "We continue as planned, with or without their approval." Ambassador Lee looked worried. "Jaiwoo, if they discover what we're building." "They won't. The facility is hidden. Besides, they think we're too primitive to accomplish it." She smiled slightly. "Their arrogance blinds them." As they walked toward the Earth transport ship, Dr. Park looked up at the stars visible through the station's clear dome. Somewhere out there, beyond normal space, beyond the dimensions that the aliens thought they understood so well, answers waited. That night, in her small quarters on the diplomatic ship, Dr. Park reviewed her equations again. The aliens thought humans only understood three-dimensional space with linear time. They were wrong. Her team had discovered something none of the alien species had found: a way to slip between dimensional walls. She sent an encrypted message to her team on Earth: "Continue assembly. Full secrecy protocol. Return in 2 weeks." The response came quickly: "Drive core stable. Hull assembly at 73%. Team ready." Dr. Park looked at the simple message and felt hope rise within her. The aliens might mock humanity today, but soon they would see. Project Prometheus would change everything. As she drifted to sleep, Dr. Park imagined the faces of the alien council when a human ship emerged from the 7th dimension, breaking every rule of physics they thought they understood. Let them laugh now. Soon, they would learn that underestimating humanity was a serious mistake. The hidden base under the dry Atacama Desert was a hive of activity. 100-meter-thick rock hid it from space sensors. The Varaxian sanctions against Earth had begun 3 weeks ago, but Project Prometheus continued in secret. Dr. Park walked quickly through the main lab. 50 scientists and engineers worked at stations around the prototype ship. The vessel looked strange, not aerodynamic like normal spacecraft but shaped more like a perfect sphere with strange patterns covering its surface. Director Park. Engineer Han waved her over to his workstation. His face showed worry. The dimensional harmonics are unstable again. Dr. Park leaned over his screen. Colored waves jumped and spiked in patterns that shouldn't be possible. The seventh dimension is resisting our attempts to create a stable portal, Engineer Han explained. We can reach the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions, but the seventh keeps collapsing. Dr. Park frowned. Increase power to the containment field. Maybe we need. Another failed test, a deep voice interrupted. Captain Song stood behind them, his military uniform looking out of place among the lab coats. His face was stern. Not failed, Dr. Park corrected. Just not completely successful. The Defense Council wants results, Captain Song said. The Varaxians have convinced the Aldebarans and Mantisoids to join their sanctions. Earth's technology access has been cut by 60%. Dr. Park sighed. I know the situation, Captain. Do you? The Quarians are threatening to restrict helium-3 shipments. Our fusion plants need that fuel. And rushing science won't solve the problem, Dr. Park replied. She turned back to the screen. We need 2 more weeks. You have 5 days, Captain Song said. After that, the Council wants a demonstration or they'll shut us down. After he left, Engineer Han looked at Dr. Park with concern. 5 days isn't enough time. Then we work faster, she said. Double the team on night shift. I'll stay here myself. For 3 days, they pushed the equipment and themselves to the limit. The scientists slept in shifts on cots in the lab. Dr. Park barely rested at all, surviving on coffee and determination. On the 4th day, during test number 17, the power grid surged unexpectedly. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Dimensional drive activating, shouted Engineer Han. It's powering up on its own. Shut it down. Dr. Park ordered, running toward the emergency controls. Too late. The sphere in the center of the test chamber glowed with impossible colors. A bubble of distorted space expanded outward. 3 researchers working nearest to the sphere froze, then seemed to blur, then vanished completely. Where did they go? Someone screamed. The sensors gave no clear answers. Where the researchers had been, the monitors only showed the word elsewhere. The emergency systems finally engaged. The dimensional bubble collapsed. The glowing stopped. But the 3 researchers, Dr. Kim, Dr. Zhou, and Engineer Bei, were gone. That night, alone in her quarters, Dr. Park couldn't sleep. The faces of the missing researchers haunted her. Dr. Kim with her brilliant mind and quick laugh. Dr. Zhou who always brought cookies to share. Engineer Bei who had just shown her pictures of his newborn daughter. Gone. Not dead, but somewhere humans weren't meant to be. She stared at the equations on her screen until her eyes burned. 5 years of her life in mathematical form. Tomorrow, Captain Song would shut down the project. The Varaxians would win. Humanity would remain trapped, contained, limited. Tears fell onto her keyboard. Through blurry eyes, she looked again at the dimensional equations. Something caught her attention. She wiped her eyes and looked closer. There, so simple she had missed it. A constant that should change when consciousness interacted with higher dimensions. The equations had been treating reality as something fixed, but consciousness itself altered dimensional space. Dr. Park's hands trembled as she added the new variable. The equations suddenly balanced perfectly. This was it, the key they had been missing. She grabbed her communicator. Engineer Han, wake everyone up. I've found it. The next morning when Captain Song arrived to shut down the project, he found the team buzzing with renewed energy. The test chamber glowed with stable, controlled dimensional energy. What happened? He demanded. Dr. Park smiled for the first time in days. A breakthrough, Captain. We can reach the 7th dimension now. How? We forgot something important, Dr. Park said. In the highest dimensions, the observer matters. Consciousness itself is part of the equation. Captain Song looked confused but recognized the team's excitement. Will it work? It will, Dr. Park said with certainty. And when Prometheus emerges from the 7th dimension, the aliens who mocked us will never see humans the same way again. The day of launch arrived after weeks of intense preparation. The underground hangar doors slid open above Prometheus, revealing a narrow slice of night sky. Stars twinkled through the desert air. Final systems check complete, Engineer Han announced, his fingers moving across his control panel. His voice sounded tight with excitement and fear. Prometheus is ready for launch. Inside the spherical ship, 5 crew members sat at their stations. The interior looked nothing like traditional spacecraft. Instead of rows of controls and screens, the bridge featured 5 chairs arranged in a circle around a central column of shifting light. Captain Song checked each crew member. Dr. Park, the science lead, monitored the dimensional drive. Engineer Han managed ship systems. Dr. Yoon, with her expertise in alien biology, was prepared for any encounters they might have. Communications Officer Choi kept track of their false identity. Remember our cover story, Captain Song said. As far as Earth's Space Command knows, we are a research vessel heading to the Kuiper Belt to study ice formations. Only the Defense Council knows our true mission. He didn't mention the alien monitoring stations that watched Earth's space traffic. The Varaxians and their allies had placed satellites throughout the solar system after implementing their technology sanctions. Launch in 30 seconds, Engineer Han said. Dr. Park looked at each of her colleagues. Whatever happens, we're making history today. The ship rose silently, its anti-gravity drive making no sound as it lifted through the hangar doors. Conventional engines activated once they reached the upper atmosphere, pushing them past the moon and toward the outer solar system. 6 hours later, they passed the orbit of Mars. No alerts had come from Earth. No alien vessels had moved to intercept them. We're beyond immediate sensor range, Officer Choi confirmed. Captain Song nodded to Dr. Park. Begin the dimensional sequence. Dr. Park's hands moved over her controls. The central column of light pulsed faster. Dimensional drive activating, she announced. First phase beginning. The stars outside the viewport suddenly seemed to stretch like rubber bands. The crew felt a strange sensation, as if their bodies were both solid and liquid at the same time. Fourth dimensional transition beginning, Dr. Park said. Her voice sounded strange, echoing slightly as if she was speaking both before and after the words were heard. The universe outside transformed. Stars became streaks, then curves, then shapes with no names in human language. Colors appeared that none of them had ever seen before, colors that shouldn't exist. It's working, Dr. Yoon whispered in awe. Fourth dimensional transition complete, Dr. Park announced. Proceeding to fifth dimension. Time began behaving strangely. Captain Song checked his watch and saw the second hand moving both forward and backward. Engineer Han started to speak, but his words reached them before his mouth moved. In the fifth dimension, past and future existed simultaneously. Dr. Park saw herself as a child, as she was now, and as an old woman, all at once. Yet somehow her mind held together, protected by the ship's dimensional field. Fifth dimension stable, she managed to say. Moving to sixth. The sixth dimension brought new challenges. Space folded in impossible ways. Outside the ship, swirling shapes appeared, not solid, not gas, but something else entirely. They moved with purpose toward Prometheus. What are those? Captain Song asked. Sixth dimensional entities, Dr. Park replied. They exist naturally in this dimensional plane. The entities circled the ship, their movements suggesting both curiosity and hostility. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the bridge. Something's wrong. Engineer Han shouted. The containment field is destabilizing. Those entities, they're affecting our dimensional bubble. The ship shuddered. Parts of the hull seemed to exist and not exist simultaneously. Through the viewport, they could see one section of Prometheus extending infinitely in multiple directions. "Can we return to normal space?" Captain Song asked. Engineer Han shook his head. "The return sequence is compromised. We're stuck between dimensions." The entities pressed closer. The ship's systems flickered. "Our only option is forward," Dr. Park said urgently. "The seventh dimension might be our only escape." Captain Song looked at each crew member. They had trained for this mission, but no one had expected to encounter sentient beings between dimensions. The original plan had been to reach the seventh dimension carefully, in stages. Now they faced a desperate choice. "Do it," Captain Song ordered. "Push forward to the seventh dimension. Now." Dr. Park diverted all power to the dimensional drive. The central column flashed brilliantly. The entities outside seemed to recoil. "Seventh dimensional transition beginning," Dr. Park announced. "Everyone, prepare yourselves. No human has ever experienced this before." The universe around them shattered like glass. Reality itself seemed to fall away. As Prometheus surged toward the seventh dimension, the crew felt their minds expanding beyond what they had thought possible. They were about to go where no human had gone before, beyond the understanding of even the most advanced alien civilizations. And if they survived, the galaxy would never be the same. The transition to the seventh dimension was unlike anything the crew had experienced. The ship stopped shaking. The alarms fell silent. Outside the viewports, reality transformed completely. Instead of stars or space or even the strange entities they had seen before, they found themselves surrounded by pure knowledge. Ideas took physical form. Thoughts became visible as patterns of light and color. "Are we still alive?" Engineer Han asked, his voice barely a whisper. Dr. Park checked her instruments, but the readings made no sense. Numbers changed constantly, showing impossible measurements. "I think so," she replied. "But we're experiencing reality in a completely new way." Dr. Yoon stood from her station, her eyes wide with wonder. "I can feel everything. We're everywhere at once." The others felt it too. Their minds had somehow expanded beyond their bodies. They could perceive multiple locations simultaneously. They could see Earth, the Varaxian homeworld, and thousands of other places all at once. "Is this what it means to exist in the seventh dimension?" Captain Song asked. "To be everywhere?" Before Dr. Park could answer, something new appeared around them. Streams of light flowed toward the ship, but they weren't just light. They were consciousness, pure thought and awareness moving with purpose. "We have company," Officer Choi said, though his station showed nothing on sensors. "They're approaching us." The streams of consciousness surrounded Prometheus. The crew felt a presence touch their minds gently, like a careful handshake. "They're communicating directly with our minds," Officer Choi reported, though everyone could already feel it happening. The presence introduced itself without words. "We are the architects. We exist across all dimensional planes. You are the first physical beings to reach this level in many cycles. Captain Song tried to speak aloud, but found communication happened faster through thought. "Who are you? What is this place? The architects responded. "We maintain the structure of reality. This is the seventh dimension, where thought and matter are one. How have humans achieved this journey? Dr. Park shared images of their work, their equations, their struggles. The architect's response carried surprise. Your species sees limits as challenges. This perspective is valuable. Rare. Dr. Park understood immediately. Our evolutionary path on Earth made us different, she explained to her crew. The struggle for survival, the need to overcome obstacles, it gave us something the other advanced species lack. The Varaxians and others evolved in safer environments, the architects confirmed. They learned patience but not persistence. They accept limitations rather than challenge them. That's why they want to restrict us, Engineer Han realized. they fear what we might become. The architects float around and through the ship, examining its design. Asterisk, your vessel is remarkable but incomplete. We can help you understand asterisk. What followed was an education beyond anything humans had imagined. The architects shared insights about dimensional physics that would have taken Earth scientists centuries to discover. They showed how reality could be folded, shifted, manipulated. The Prometheus itself began to change. Its systems upgraded with knowledge beyond human understanding. The dimensional drive transformed into something more powerful and precise. They're giving us control over dimensional space, Dr. Park said in amazement. We can travel anywhere, anytime, through any dimension. As the crew absorbed this knowledge, a signal broke through from Earth, fragmented and distorted, but urgent. Officer Choi focused on the message, pulling it into clarity: emergency transmission from Earth defense. The Atacama facility has been discovered. A Varaxian battle fleet has positioned itself in orbit. They claim our research violates their technology restrictions. They've given an ultimatum: surrender all dimensional research or they'll destroy the facility. How long do we have? Captain Song asked. The message is from 12 hours ago, Officer Choi replied. The ultimatum expires in 4 hours. Captain Song looked at the new capabilities of their ship. The dimensional drive had been transformed. According to the ship's computer, they could return to Earth in moments, appearing instantly wherever they chose. We can make it back in time, he said. The question is, what do we do when we get there? He looked at each crew member in turn. The Varaxians have threatened our planet and our people. With what we now know, with what the Prometheus can now do, we could easily destroy their entire fleet. Or we could show them what we've learned, Dr. Park suggested. Change their understanding rather than punish their ignorance. Captain Song nodded slowly. So that's our choice. Do we return as saviors or conquerors? Do we teach the aliens who mocked us, or do we make them fear us? The crew fell silent, considering the enormous power now in their hands and the responsibility that came with it. In just a few hours, humanity's place in the galaxy would change forever. The decision they made now would shape that future. The Galactic Conclave gathered for its monthly session. 200 alien species filled the Great Chamber on Centralis Station. Today they would vote on Earth's formal censure for continuing forbidden research. Ambassador Kim of the Varaxians stood at the central podium. His crystalline body gleamed under the lights as he addressed the assembly. The evidence is clear, he declared. Despite our restrictions, humans continue to pursue dangerous dimensional research. Their primitive understanding puts us all at risk. I call for the most severe sanctions allowed under conclave law. Many delegates nodded in agreement. The vote was moments away, and Earth would lose all remaining trade rights and technology access. Suddenly, the air in the center of the chamber seemed to ripple. A strange humming filled the room. The space twisted in impossible ways. Security breach, shouted one of the Mantisoid guards. But there was no alarm. Instead, reality itself opened before them. The Prometheus appeared not by entering through a door or materializing in a flash of light, but by somehow being everywhere at once. The spherical ship shifted between different states of existence, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent, sometimes appearing in multiple places simultaneously. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates fled their seats. Others stared in shock. Ambassador Kim rose from his seat, his mandibles clicking rapidly in alarm. What is this deception? Humans cannot possess such technology. Captain Song's voice filled the chamber, coming from everywhere at once. This is humanity's response to your mockery. We've journeyed to the seventh dimension and returned with understanding beyond your comprehension. The ship's outer hull became transparent, revealing the 5 human crew members inside. They stood calmly, watching the panic around them. Dr. Park stepped forward, her image appearing life-sized before the central podium. The Varaxian battle fleet that was threatening our research facility has been temporarily shifted to a parallel dimensional plane. They are unharmed but contained. This news caused even more panic. The Varaxians were the Conclave's military power. If humans could neutralize their fleet so easily. She's lying. Ambassador Kim shouted. This is some trick. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing the Varaxian ships floating in a strange limbo, their weapons powered down, crews confused but unharmed. Captain Song raised his hands, and somehow this simple gesture quieted the chamber. We come not for vengeance but cooperation. We have met the architects, the beings who maintain the structure of reality across dimensions. They have shown us that the universe values diversity of thought. Our different evolutionary paths have led to complementary understandings of reality. Dr. Park nodded. Humans evolved facing constant challenges. This gave us the ability to see beyond limitations. The architects value this perspective. They helped us perfect our dimensional technology. Ambassador Lee of Earth stepped forward to join Dr. Park's projection. We offer to share this knowledge with all species of the Conclave. In return, we ask only for respect and equal standing. The chamber remained silent. The implications were enormous. Humanity had leaped from being considered primitive to possessing technology beyond anything the Conclave had seen. Ambassador Kim's crystalline form trembled with anger or fear. And if we refuse? Captain Song smiled slightly. Why would anyone refuse greater understanding? The Varaxian fleet will be returned safely once we reach an agreement. We seek partnership, not dominance. One of the oldest members of the Conclave, a Quarian elder, floated forward. I have lived 500 years and never witnessed such an advancement. Perhaps we have been hasty in our judgment of humans. The vote on Earth's censure was cancelled. Instead, a new agreement was drafted, one that recognized humanity's unique contributions and established protocols for sharing dimensional knowledge. 3 months later, Dr. Park stood in a newly built academy on Centralis Station. Before her sat students from 12 different species, including 3 young Varaxians. They had been selected for the first class on interdimensional physics. Today we begin a journey together, Dr. Park told them. What we perceive as reality is just one small part of a greater whole. The architects taught us that different perspectives strengthen our understanding. She activated a device in the center of the room. A small dimensional window opened, showing glimpses of the higher dimensions. The students gasped in wonder. A young Varaxian raised his hand. Dr. Park, why did humans succeed where other species failed? Dr. Park smiled. Because we never accepted being told something was impossible. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from those who don't know what cannot be done. As the students activated their dimensional viewers for the first time, their expressions of amazement were the same across all species. In that moment of shared wonder, Dr. Park knew that humanity had found its true place among the stars, not through fear or power, but through knowledge freely shared.